Hello friends, in our previous video, which you can also watch through the link provided in the description, we discussed about the Maha Avatar, Shri Haidiya Babaji, who is also known as Munendra Maharaj ji. When Shri Haidiya Babaji disappeared, he had assured his devotees that he would come again. Continuing from that, today we will talk about Shri Munendra Maharaj ji's most devoted disciple and follower, and the Guru of millions, Saint Shri Mahendra Maharaj ji, who eventually was one of the most important link between the both avatars of Haidiya Khandi Baba. Shri Mahendra Maharaj ji was born on 4th March 1908, in the village of Manika, in the Samastipur district of Bihar in India. His father's name was Shri Kantonja, and his mother's name was Shrimti Dai ji. His father was a elated tantric and a known priest. When Mahendra Maharaj ji was born, his mother was at her parental home, so he was born at his maternal grandfather's house. His upbringing and initial education happened at maternal grandfather's place itself. When Mahendra Maharaj was 6 years old, he contracted typhoid and remained bedridden for 40 days. Despite modern treatment by doctors, his condition worsened. He fell into a state of delirium, and the family became very distressed. At that time, the goddess Jagadamba and some Sadashiv Bihari Dev, that is Munendra Maharaj, appeared to him from the roof of the house and blessed him. When he tried to share this vision with his family, they were frightened, thinking he was babbling in his sleep. After a while, his health significantly improved, and he recovered quickly. However, this divine vision had a profound impact on Mahendra Baba's mind and soul. When Mahendra Maharaj turned 12, on his birthday, his mother gave him 4 annas and asked him to buy some jalebis from nearby sweet shop. At the sweet shop, he saw the same ascetic wearing a kurta and cap, whom he had seen at the age of 6. This ascetic gave him the jalebis and while patting his head, blessed him, and said, "Son, today is your birthday. These jalebis are for you. Take them home." When Mahendra Maharaj returned home and gave the money back to his mother along with the sweets, she was astonished and asked, "Who gave you the money for this?" He narrated the entire incident. His mother took him back to the sweet shop to meet the saint, but by then, saint had disappeared. From that day on, Mahendra Maharaj's heart became heavy, and he constantly remembered the saint and longed to meet him again. Mahendra Maharaj ji lived with his maternal grandfather, who was highly influential, prosperous, and learned person. In his childhood, he gained a lot of knowledge from books of his grandfather. His primary education was in Samastipur, and later went to Darbhanga for further studies. As he grew older, his intellect and consciousness developed so much that whatever he read once, it would be permanently etched in his memory, due to his photographic memory. He had memorized the 4 Vedas and the 6 sacred scriptures. He obtained his master's degree from Bhagalpur University and learned various languages such as Hindi, English, Bengali, Urdu, and Bihari. However, he never found satisfaction in any activity, and with the constant blessings of Munendra Maharaj and Maa Jagadamba, his heart was always inclined towards the Lord's feet. Once, he made a resolution to renounce the world and left home. Since his grandfather was a highly influential person, Mahendra Maharaj was found quickly and brought back home. Reluctantly, he agreed since he did not want to cause any sorrow to his mother and grandfather. He began teaching children, and worked in a khadi bandar store. He used to give all his earnings to his mother. Yet he did not find any peace, and once again, he was determined to renounce the world for good. Finally one day he left his home, crossed a river and reached Kolkata. He opened a school for children, and started teaching for some time. Today same school has become a college. After some time, he left teaching also, and with strong resolution, he decided to visit holy places across India by foot. He travelled to northern India, then walked towards the western coast, eventually reached Mount Abu, where a famous pilgrimage Shakti Peeth, Ambaji, is located. In Ambaji, he continued his intense penance through meditation and other rituals to search for his guru. After 22 years of rigorous penance and rituals of chanting the 108 Durga Saptashatis day and night, his devotion was answered. Goddess Amba appeared before him and said, "My son, the guru you are searching for will be found in the Kumaon region, in the foothills of the Himalayas. Go there, and you will meet your guru." In Vikram Samvat 2006, on the 4th day of the month of Jesht, that is 31st May 1949, Mahendra Maharaj set off with great enthusiasm towards the mountains. He walked tirelessly, crossing one mountain peak after another, always in search of his guru. He would travel by day and rest at a village or any Shiva temple at night. After several days of walking, close to dusk he arrived at a place called Sheetal Khet. Shiromani Pathak, who had divine vision by Munendra Maharaj, as mentioned in earlier video, was running a tea stall there. When Shiromani Pathak saw Mahendra Maharaj, he immediately recognized him as a great saint. He suggested Mahendra Maharaj, "It's already night, so please come to my house and stay as a guest." But Mahendra Maharaj replied, "I will not go to your home. Please tell me of a place where I can spend the night and immerse myself in the remembrance and meditation of God." Shiromani Pathak said, "Mahendra Maharaj, there is a beautiful place on the other side of this hill called Siddhashram. Please stay at my house tonight. Tomorrow morning, I will send my servant to take you there. You can stay as long as you like." When Mahendra Maharaj reached Pathakji's home, he went and sat exactly at the place where Munendra Maharaj used to sit. When Shiromani Pathak saw this, he fell at Maharaj's feet and began to cry. Overcome with emotion, he said, "Mahendra Maharaj, I feel so blessed and honored that you are sitting in the very same spot where Baba used to sit. All the memories are flooding in my mind." Pathakji began to share many stories about Haidakhan Baba with Mahendra Maharaj, describing his divine nature and all that had happened during the time of his divine play. He also showed him all the literature he had written about Baba. The two of them spent the entire night in spiritual discussion about Babaji. Next day Mahendra Maharaj reached the Siddhashram ashram with the priest and was delighted by its beauty and tranquility. The ashram was scenic and serene. There was an ancient temple of Vaishnavi Mata, a waterfall, a small cottage, a cowshed, and deodar trees named Nar and Narayan. The priest asked him to sit in the cottage, which ordinarily was not given to any visiting saints or travelers. Inside the cave there was an image of Munendra Baba, his mala or rosary, books on the Durga Saptashti, Vishnu Sahasranama, the Bhagavad Gita, and a few worshipping items only. As soon as Mahendra Maharaj entered and bowed before the image, his heart was stirred. He realized that this was the very image of his guru, who had revealed himself to him during his student days and claimed him as his own. Lost in the image, his yearning to unite with the Lord deepened, and he considered fasting indefinitely till he would meet his guru. A waterfall flowed nearby. The priest told him that when Munendra Maharaj first came to the ashram, there was no water. Despite many efforts, only a little water could be found. One day, Baba took water in a bowl, smelled it, and began digging the earth with his hands. Suddenly, a stream of water gushed forth, and it has been flowing ever since. Mahendra Maharaj went to the stream, drank the water, bathed, and offered worship at the Devi temple. In his autobiographical book Anupam Kripa, he had described these events. Later, when he sat in meditation in the cottage, he was unable to concentrate. Feeling uneasy, he abandoned the meditation and went to sleep. In his dream, Maa Vaishnavi Devi appeared and said, "My child, I am hungry." Immediately, he woke up and wept. Upon asking the priest, he learned that offerings, bhog, were made only once a year at that temple. Mahendra Maharaj realized that it wasn't the Divine Mother who was hungry as she is bestower and caretaker of all beings of the world, but rather she said, so as it is her child that's he himself who hadn't eaten anything in last 3 days. Soon afterwards, Shiromani Pathak arrived with someone carrying food material. Soon meal was prepared. Mahendra Maharaj offered the food to Maa Vaishnavi with devotion in the temple, and then distributed the prasadam to everyone over there, and also partook of it himself. He stayed there contentedly for 2 or 3 days, but on the 4th day, his mind again grew restless. He began to feel that though he had found the Lord had forgotten him. He pondered deeply, thinking, "O mind, either forget everything or immerse completely in worldly pleasures, or I shall offer my very life at the feet of my beloved Guru." He resolved that from the next day onward, he would undertake a fast unto death until the Lord dispelled his doubts by his vision. The next morning, he instructed the priest not to disturb him. After bathing and worship, he locked himself in the temple and locked the door. Inside were 2 portraits of Babaji, one in kurta and cap, and the other with a serpent and crescent on the forehead. These photos had been worshipped for years. At around 1 a.m. outside the cottage, he looked up at the sky. The stars were twinkling, and his disappointment deepened since he had not been able to see his guru. He went back inside the cottage and shut the door. As he lay down, he suddenly saw Babaji, in full human form, standing before him. He couldn't rise fully but placed his hands on Babaji's feet while sitting, his gaze lowered on Babaji's feet, and yet he could still behold Babaji's radiant face. For some time, Babaji lovingly gazed at him. Mahendra Maharaj lost himself in that divine beauty. Finally, the Lord broke the silence and asked, "Brahmachari, what do you seek?" Mahendra Maharaj replied, "Your blessing, O divine Guru. Just as I am seeing you now, may the whole world see you too. Please come and bring joy to the world." Babaji answered, "Your wish shall be fulfilled." With eyes filled with the compassion of divine love, the merciful Lord touched his head with his lotus hands and then vanished, saying, "Even this path is now closed." The Lord had blessed him with divine vision, nectar-like words, and a touch of the sacred Shiv Vidya, fulfilling all his spiritual desires. Mahendra Maharaj opened the door and came into the courtyard. His eyes searched. Was the Lord still around somewhere? Just then, the priest arrived. Maharaj asked him to bring Shiromani Ji along, as doubts were stirring in his heart. Munendra Maharaj hadn't been wearing kurta and cap in his manifestation. Instead, he was dressed in a simple dhoti tied at the waist and draped below. When Shiromani Ji arrived, Mahendra Maharaj asked, "How did Babaji usually dress?" He replied, "Babaji had no fixed attire, sometimes kurta and cap, sometimes mirjai and turban, but mostly just a dhoti, half tied above, half below." All doubts dissolved at once. Then he asked, "Was there ever a door on this side of the cottage, where the Lord showed me?" Shiromani Ji was shocked. He bowed at Maharaj's feet and asked, "Are you Haidakhan Baba himself? Or are you deceiving me?" He had no fixed form. He appeared in countless ways. He was the Supreme Lord. He even showed me Badrinath, but I got entangled in the world and couldn't preserve that divine bounty. Saying this, he wept. Mahendra Maharaj comforted him gently and humbly said, "If I were the Maharaj himself, would I roam from forest to forest seeking him? I am certainly his very own." Coming to his senses, Shiromani Ji took Maharaj's hand and led him inside the cottage to the exact place where Maharaj had pointed. There, Shiromani Ji showed him the mark of the old door frame. It confirmed everything. Shiromani Ji confessed, "Originally, we kept the entrance here, but one practitioner had it closed for his own convenience and opened the another door." Mahendra Maharaj felt a deep peace in his heart, said and thought, "Even if I die now, I have attained the purpose of this birth through the uncaused grace of the Lord's feet." The priest prepared food, offered it to God, and both received the sacred prasadam. In Mahendra Maharaj's heart arose the thought, this merciful incarnation's divine message must reach the whole world so humanity may be uplifted. He considered all this as the Lord's divine play. He only regarded himself as a humble servant of God. It was the Lord himself who named the ashram Siddhashram. Mahendra Maharaj was filled with joy and, after some time, left Siddhashram and came to Haldwani. There, he told a few people, "Now the Lord is coming again to this earth. I must go prepare the ground for his arrival. I have to write some literature, so the world may come to know him." When he came to Haldwani, the desire to visit Sri Haidiya Vish Mahadham became strong within him. No one knew exactly when or from where Munendra Maharaj ji had arrived, but it is known that the Lord began the divine play of this incarnation from this sacred land. For devotees, this place is as dear and revered as Ayodhya and Mathura. His heart was restless for a glimpse of the holy place, and finally, the day arrived when he had visited Sri Haidiya Vish Mahadham. This place is located about 40 kilometers from Haldwani, on the backside of Mount Kailash, in a village called Haidiya, situated on the banks of the Gautam Ganga river. A medicinal herb called haran grows abundantly here, and Khand means a piece of land, which is why the place has been known as Haidiya. This is why people began referring to this nameless and infinitely named divine figure as Baba of Haidiya or Haidiya Khandi. It was here that Sri Munendra Maharaj first built a Shiva temple. The Shiva temple, the Dharmashala, pilgrim shelter, and the Yagna fire altar were all established in the presence of Babaji himself. At first, Baba gave darshan to the people in a divine cave, and also appeared in radiant light on the mountain. The peace and beauty of this place are indescribable. The divine stories of Babaji are endless. Mahendra Maharaj ji too decided to stay in that cave. Due to heavy rain and flooding, the cave was quite damp. At that time, he only had one thick blanket with him. He would lay half of it beneath him and cover himself with the other half. Villagers would bring him food. In this way, 3 or 4 days passed. One day, a devotee came and spread dry hay, pyal, inside the cave for him to lie on. That night, as he was sleeping, he heard some rustling sounds. He thought perhaps it was noise due to dry hay, and went back to sleep. But after a while, the sounds came again, this time louder and repeatedly. A feeling of restlessness and fear arose in his heart. He thought, I've lived in deep forests, but never felt such fear. Why now? Accepting it as the will of God, he began to chant praises of the Lord, and gradually slipped into an unconscious, a trance-like state. In that semi-conscious state, 9 sacred verses emerged from his lips, which were later named the Sri Munendra Sukt. These verses were not composed by him, but were revealed through divine energy. As soon as he chanted them, he experienced supreme bliss. But shortly after uttering them, he began to forget them, which made him very upset. He thought, what kind of renunciation is this? If only I had paper and pencil, I could have written down these beautiful verses sent by the Lord for the welfare of all beings. Then another thought arose, if these verses are truly from God, He will not let me forget them. That compassionate Lord will remind me again in the morning. And if they were my own creation, then forgetting them is no loss. Many such hymns are composed by many people. With this thought, he fell into a peaceful sleep. He woke up at 8 a.m. A school teacher from the village, who passed by the cave on his way to school and would sometimes bring him milk, saw him still sleeping and said, Maharaj, you are sleeping till late today? You seem to be educated. Here, take this paper and pencil. If you feel like writing something, you can write it down. Saying this, he left. Baba decided to write down the verses, or sukt, before drinking the milk. He took the paper and pencil and sat on a large rock in the middle of the Gautam Ganga, right in front of the cave, and began writing. At that moment, the letters of the sukt appeared to him in radiant golden light. With great excitement, he wrote down that divine mantra, remembering the Lord's immense grace and compassion. After completing the writing, he drank the milk. Even today, thousands of people recite the Sri Munendra Sukt daily with deep devotion. After this, he visited Braj Dham for some time. This place captivated his heart. He stayed for a while in Mathura, Vrindavan, Nandagam, and Barsana. On his return from the temple of Baldauji, he took rest in a small garden in Lohban. He liked that place very much and decided to stay there and engage in meditation and spiritual practice. While performing austerities, he would sometimes gather with literate villagers to read sacred scriptures like the Ramayana, Bhagavad Gita, and Durga Saptashti. People were greatly influenced by his personality. During his stay in Vrindavan, he had a direct vision of Sri Radharani and would bestow miraculous blessings upon devotees. However, he kept his extraordinary powers hidden and did not display them openly. In Vrindavan, he would stand in line for alms, walk around various places, and at night, sleep on the roof of the Gopeshwar Shiva temple. He used to travel from one place to another on foot, but later, he also traveled by car and train. Once Mahendra Maharaj was in room of Sri Samarth Brahmachari Baba at Lakshman temple in Rajgarh. He was deeply immersed in divine bliss as Sri Sadguru Stuti Kusumanjali and Sadashiv Charitamrit were being recited. Shastriji's brother, Girdhari Lal, also joined. Listening intently and mysteriously inspired, he humbly asked Mahendra Babaji, Lord, you are creating such magnificent spiritual literature and organizing grand events. There should also be an idol of Lord Munendra Bhagwan. Sri Prabhu smiled gently for a few moments and then gave his approval. An expert sculptor from Jaipur was eventually called, who created a beautiful idol of the Lord. Those who beheld it were instantly captivated with divine emotions. The sacred land of Katgharia was chosen for the installation of the idol. 2 days before the foundation was laid, a priest from Kedarnath and an elderly monk from Bageshwar had vision that Mahendra Maharaj was riding a white horse and circling the site during the night. This vision served as divine confirmation of the Lord's consent to build the temple. In the foundation, piles of fragrant white ash were found, which was remnants of ancient yagyas performed during past times. Bel Patra, Bel, trees were also found growing there and are still present today. Once the temple was completed, the idol consecration festival took place on Sunday, the Shukla Paksh of Falguna in Samvat 2014, that is, 5th March 1958, at 11 a.m. The event was so spiritually charged that it's said to be beyond the power of words to describe. On the previous night of Chaturthi, around 11 p.m., Lord Haidakhan Baba appeared in divine form, visible to thousands of people there, granting them darshan. The radiant vision left all present spellbound. On the night before the consecration, bhajan, kirtan, and Ramayan recitation were happening at the ashram. Devotees from far and wide sang in love and devotion. Measurements were being taken to prepare beautiful garments for Baba. Sri Brahmachari Baba had only one desire in his heart, that in this age of disbelief, the devotees attending the ceremony should surely receive divine darshan of Lord Munendra, who is infinitely compassionate. At 11 p.m., chants of victory and joyous clamor echoed in the ashram and emotions flowed in the air. Thousands of people rushed in one direction, as Lord Munendra Bhagwan circled the ashram in a form of radiant light. In that deep forest, during the midnight, gathering was initially frightened by the sight. But shortly afterwards, Lord Munendra appeared in human-like form, glowing in divine light, dressed in a kurta and cap, and entered the ashram. He first manifested to the women singing under the banyan tree. Hundreds of people of different faiths witnessed this glorious vision with their naked eyes from a close-by distance. He was visible nearly for 10 minutes before vanishing into thin air amidst the crowd. The next day, a crowd of thousands had gathered. After the successful completion of the idol installation ceremony, a grand feast was organized, where around 50,000 men and women were served. The provisions brought weren't enough for such a large crowd. Sri Mahendra Baba instructed his attendants to keep a white cloth over the utensils and serve the food without peeping into utensils. He assured that with God's grace, food would be sufficient, and so it was. Even after serving over 50,000 plus people, hot halwa and puris continued to come out of the utensils until late 11 p.m. that day. When everyone had eaten, Baba called for prasad. Only then was the cloth removed, and Baba himself entered the storeroom for inspection. There was just one tray of halwa, and some puri and vegetables left. Everyone was astonished by this divine miracle. Baba laughed and returned to his seat. Naturally, any yagya in which Lord Shiva himself appeared was bound to be successfully completed. The next day, Baba instructed the devotees to recite Sadashiv Charitamrit, even though the text wasn't fully completed then. Shastriji began reading the part that was available. Baba was filled with bliss. Suddenly, cries were heard from the back, "He's drowning! He's drowning!" A child had fallen into the nearby canal and was being swept away by the strong current. No one dared to jump in. Then suddenly, a wave lifted the boy and threw him onto the bank. Boy soon regained consciousness and started speaking. Everyone was astonished and declared, "Baba, you are great. Today, you've given life to this child." On the third day of the idol installation, Sri Prabhu performed another divine act. Shastriji recounted, "After bathing in the morning, when I went to seek blessings from Baba, he instructed my brother, Girdhari Lal, give this man some money. He will bring cow's ghee from his home. Perform the Abhishek of Lord Kedareshwar using that pure ghee. Then after the worship, let Shastriji recite Sadguru Stuti Kusumanjali in front of the newly installed idol. During the recitation, a V lamp should remain lit." Following Baba's instructions, the Abhishek was performed, and Baba himself adorned the idol with flowers and Bel Patra. Then he personally took me to the sanctum of Sri Munendra Maharaj's new idol. After lighting the lamp, he made me sit and said with a smile, "Vishnu Bhai, Now recite Sadguru's Stuti Kusumanjali to the Lord, and gently close the door behind him. Shastriji later stated, as I began to recite the verses which I had written myself, I gradually entered an infinite cosmic trance. Tears streamed from my eyes. The experience cannot be described, even by thousands lifetimes worth of writing. It felt as though Lord Munindra's idol was no longer a statue, but alive as a divine child before me. My heart overflowed with a deep love and longing. I wondered how I could leave this beautiful form behind in the forest. My entire being was overwhelmed. I couldn't bear the emotion, and began crying out like a madman. At that very moment, from a distance, Sri Mahendra Baba, who was seated nearby, rang the temple bell and chanted 3 times, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Instantly, I regained consciousness. Baba then entered the sanctum with my brother, gently laughing. He sprinkled Ganga water on my face, comforted me, and laughed again. My brother, too, was deeply moved seeing me in that state. After this incident, Shastriji returned to Rajgarh from Katkariya. There, he shared that during the Prana Pratishtha or consecration ceremony, he could feel a heartbeat at the heart of the divine idol, a sensation that Baba had shown him by placing his hand on it. Furthermore, as soon as the mantras of the Saptarishis were chanted, 7 great sages appeared behind the throne of the idol. Mahendra Baba pointed them out to him. These divine experiences, received through the inner inspiration of Mahendra Baba, are recorded by Shastriji in his book. The idol of the Lord remained in Katkariya for less than a year. However, some people failed to conduct worship and service properly as per scriptural decorum, and even some visitors began to casually touch the idol, violating its sanctity. Sri Maharaj Ji could not tolerate this desecration. Upon receiving this news, Maharaj travelled from Vrindavan to Katkariya. Upon observing the situation firsthand, he proposed to move the idol to Vrindavan. The local devotees, however, opposed this and pleaded to keep the idol at same place. Mahendra Maharaj, also known as a Brahmachari Baba, with eyes blazed in anger, told Giridhari Lalji, "You did not do the right thing by having this idol made in this age of Kali Yuga. I will clasp this idol to my chest and surrender my life in the waters of the Ganga, but I will not allow the violation of scriptural decorum." Frightened by this declaration, some devotees discreetly took the idol at night and transported it to Vrindavan, personally bringing Brahmachari Baba along. In Vrindavan, near the ancient sacred site of Brahma Kund and close to the Siddh Peeth of Sri Gopeshwar Mahadev, a temple was constructed known as Sambhar Sadashiv Kunj. Once the temple was complete, on Radha Ashtami, the 8th day of the bright fortnight of Bhadrapada, 20th September 1958, Vikram Samvat 2015, the idol of the Lord was reinstalled in a grand ceremony. During the construction of Sambhar Sadashiv Kunj, Sri Mahendra Maharaj composed a sacred and highly spiritual text called Sri Divya Katmarit in 3 distinct phases. Thereafter, Sri Maharaj continued to reside in Vrindavan and graciously granted his divine presence to the devotees from time to time. Meanwhile, Shastriji's work on the Sadashiv Charitamrit was nearing completion. One day, Sri Mahendra Swamiji came to Rajgarh and visited Shastriji's residence. It was around 7 p.m. After completing his bath and other routines, Maharaj took his seat in the temple room, asked Shastriji to read from the beginning what he had written in the recent chapters. Without delay, Shastriji opened his notebook and began reading. As he read, Mahendra Maharaj occasionally looked at him with a smile, showering praise and encouraging, appreciating the divine essence of his creation. When he reached the 49th Doha, couplet, he looked towards Mahendra Maharaj. He did not see him but instead an exceedingly beautiful and enchanting divine mother Haidiya Khandi Mata sitting in his place. Shastriji was stunned. His entire being was overwhelmed with awe. His body trembled, his voice choked, and his heart melted. This moment was a mystical mixture of 2 extremes, the experience of supreme divine realization and the terrifying fear of death. This continued until the 55th Doha of the Gyan Sudha Kalash. As he recited, "Haidakhan Sant mohi kahe, jag ke log, sumirat piye with macronel mein prakat havai, haros kal sab bhai shok." The saints of Haidakhan have told me that at the remembrance of the Lord, he manifests instantly, removing all fears and sorrows. As soon as these lines were completed, the divine lady sitting near him, Jagdishwari Jagadamba, tapped her right hand on her thigh. At the sound, Shastriji saw his revered guru again, seated before him with his beard and divine countenance. Smiling, the guru said, "Were you frightened?" At that time, tears flowed from Shastriji's eyes, and his heartbeat was intense. But with the guru's comforting words, he regained composure, offered his obeisance, and continued reading. In this way, Jagadamba herself had appeared and listened to the sacred text, giving Shastriji the blessed opportunity of a divine darshan. Although such revelations are deeply private, Shastriji felt it his duty to share them for the welfare of saints and devotees, believing that those who would read or hear these events with faith would attain great joy and make their lives meaningful. That, he considered the noblest task. When the composition of Sadashiv Charitamrit was completed, Mahendra Maharaj again visited Rajgarh. The manuscript was placed before him. Shastriji's brother, Giridhari Lalji, expressed that the text was extraordinarily divine and must be published, requesting permission to arrange for its printing. Smiling, Sri Prabhu said, "Yes, you may print it. This is a scripture that will benefit the world for thousands of years. With time, it will shine ever brighter and enter every household, alleviating the world's suffering and granting peace and bliss to all. I wish that this scripture should be first published under the patronage of the ruler of the land where the poet was born." Accordingly, it was decided that the ruler king of Alwar would publish it. Soon after, it was learned that King Sri Alvarendra Dev had arrived. Shastriji presented the manuscript to him and, upon request, recited a portion of it. Pleased, Maharaja Dev instructed them to determine the printing cost and expressed willingness to sponsor its publication. On the full moon of Kartik Shukla Vikram Samvat 2016, that is 15th November 1959, with great joy and proper ritual, a donation far exceeding the required amount was granted. With that, the first edition of Sadashiv Charitamrit was printed and published. After this, under the command and grace of Mahendra Maharaj ji, the composition of the Haidiya Khandi Saptashti was also completed. Once the manuscript was ready, Shastriji personally recited the sacred work and offered it to Sri Prabhu at Sri Sam Sadashiv Kunj, Vrindavan. Upon receiving it, Maharaj placed the manuscript on his head and danced in divine ecstasy for about 20 minutes. Then, he said, "I am still immature. How could I be worthy of such a supremely sacred and great creation? If ever a swan appears in your life, offer this work to them." Swan or hunks in sacred texts are referred to the realized souls. Mahendra Maharaj was referring to Mahavatar Baba Haidiya Khandi. With immense joy, Maharaj blessed Shastriji. That day remained forever unforgettable. 28 days before attaining Brahmaleen, leaving the physical body in divine union, the most revered Guru telephoned Shastriji and summoned him to Vrindavan. He instructed him, "Vishnu Bhai, during the Guru Purnima festival of 1961, I declared you to be the Acharya, spiritual head, of the Haidiya Khandi Samaj. I want to share with you some divine mantras, gifts received by me through His grace, so that in my absence, when Lord would appear, you may recognize Him and serve Him." Saying this, Prabhu smiled, touched Shastriji's head with his lotus hand, and blessed him. Shastriji, meanwhile, felt a strange uneasiness as if sensing the sorrow of an impending separation. Later Sri Prabhu sent for a car from Mathura, and came to visit Shastriji at his home in Ganganga to meet Giridhari Lalji. Everyone offered him full prostrations. During their conversation, Baba instructed, "Don't worry excessively about your health. Everything will be fine. Do not leave this place. And if you ever feel pain in your heart, do not panic." As he said this, his eyes filled with tears, and he embraced Giridhari Lalji, who was Shastriji's younger brother and a devoted disciple of Lord Haidiya Khandi. It seemed as though the future was dancing clearly before the eyes of the mighty Brahmachari Baba. That evening, Baba left for Vrindavan, and the next day proceeded toward the Himalayan region via Haldwani. On 2nd June 1969, Giridhari Lalji suddenly experienced severe pain in the chest. He became unconscious and was rushed from Gangapur to Jaipur for treatment. Doctors were attending to him, and on 10th June, he was seen by Dr. Samvi. Due to discharge procedures, it was decided that he would stay one more day in the hospital. While medications were ongoing, Giridhari Lalji suddenly experienced a sharp pain in his heart. He asked his attendant to place a picture of Lord Haidiya Khandi before him. He gazed at it intently for 2 minutes and uttered his final words, "Pandit ji, now I am going." And then, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he departed from this mortal world. On the third day, a letter was sent to Maharaj ji at the Haldwani address. That very day, Maharaj ji happened to arrive from Almora to Haldwani. Upon reading the letter, he became overwhelmed and tears streamed from his eyes. He said, Giridhari Lal was a truly steadfast devotee. Now that he is gone, what is the purpose of our life? With an open heart, he wept for his departed devotee and presented an unmatched example of divine love for his followers. On that very day, 23rd June 1969, at 8 p.m., Maharaj ji entered eternal samadhi, incinerating his five-element body in the fire of yogic energy and becoming forever united with Shiva. Such was the Guru, deeply loving toward his disciples and a true Sadguru, Sri Mahendra Swamiji Maharaj. A model of divine affection like his is nearly impossible to find in this world. The entire Haidiya Khandi community of seekers were heartbroken by his departure. His mortal remains were brought to Sri Vrindavan Dham. There was an immense crowd of grief-stricken devotees. The passing of such a great saint was like the setting of a spiritual sun, plunging the world into sorrow. During his cremation on the banks of the holy Yamuna, something miraculous occurred. From the half-burnt pyre, his right hand suddenly rose, turned toward the grieving devotees, and formed the gesture of blessing. Many eyewitnesses are still alive today to testify to this divine moment. Great souls like him appear from time to time in this world, guiding humanity with their miraculous presence, noble conduct, and nectar-like words. Sri Mahendra Swamiji Maharaj left behind countless discourses, satsangs, and spiritual dialogues preserved in his books. Through regular study of these texts, many will continue to uplift and enrich their lives. Before his departure, entrusting him with a sacred mantra which was now known to Shastriji besides Baba Haidiya Khandi and Mahendra Maharaj Baba, only Sri Mahendra Maharaj passed on a message to his beloved disciple, Shastriji Sri Munendra Bhagwan would soon descend, giving him advance notice of the divine arrival.